Absolutely.
Now, to speak about why clear language summaries are important, we'll hear from Michael Johnny, who is the Manager of Knowledge Mobilization for York University, Toronto, Canada. He's held this position since 2006. Michael has an MA degree in Canadian and Native Studies from Trent University, having researched policy implications for Native literacy in Ontario. He has over 13 years of experience in educational research and development with specific skills in program development, strategic planning, program evaluation, stakeholder consultation, and policy development and analysis. Michael, it's really great to have you with us today, so I will go ahead and turn it over to you now.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you very much for that introduction. I want to thank the organizers and all the participants for your time. I also want to take a second and compliment Mark on a very powerful tool. I was multitasking in addition to listening attentively. I've written down the URL and I'm looking forward to sharing it with a lot of my partners and stakeholders. I think you're onto something very, very useful. I'm going to be speaking over the next 30 minutes around some of our work here at York University around knowledge mobilization and very specifically around clear language research summaries. As it is with pretty much every presentation I give, I want to create a baseline of understanding. At the risk of undermining my credibility, I'll share with you, I've been in this role for 8 years. It took me almost 7 years to be able to explain to my mother what I do. Knowledge mobilization, it's not an intuitive term, and the way that we've structured it here at York University has a very strong service component to it. After talking about that, I'll spend the bulk of the time talking about the research summary tool that we've developed and really kind of unpacking a bit about the process and some of our findings upon reflection. This is something we've been doing for quite a while. But to kind of anchor the talk, I really wanted to throw out what I see to be two challenges around our work in clear language writing and design. Academic research outputs simply are not as available or accessible as they could be for people. We look at things like journal articles, conference papers, and book chapters and see two challenges around their access and utility. Firstly, they're predominantly, but not exclusively, held in academic libraries, which limits availability. And I think second, and probably just as problematic, is the fact that they're written in language in a format that make them less accessible. I really believe there's a correlation between the size of a document and the extent to which it's read. That was certainly true for me early in my career. The term knowledge mobilization, it's something that's being bandied around quite a bit by people working and studying in the field, and I will not go down that rabbit hole today, but really just share the definition that we've developed and utilize here at York University. As a service unit, myself and a colleague, we work in a brokering capacity, supporting the two-way connection between researchers and community stakeholders. And by that, we really mean non-academic interests. It could be community, industry, or government, with the purposefulness that research and evidence can inform decisions about public policy and professional practice. So we utilize methods such as knowledge transfer, translation, and exchange, but we really try and drive our work toward co-production. So what do I think I know about this kind of work? Well, it has a purposefulness to it, and I think that really complements our work around clear language writing and design. There's a very strong social component to it. I mean, it really requires people to meet and interact. From the knowledge standpoint, there's a strong socialization component to it. It's really kind of getting knowledge into the hands of people that could use it. But I really think it's the mobilization part that might trip some people up. But it's really the preparedness. It's really the purposefulness around making sure what we have and making sure we have what we need to be effectively utilized. This is our theory slide. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly, but I know that not everybody has a passion or an interest for theory. The slide itself, it's multicolored. There's some information inside the box and a bit of information outside the box. So for folks that are not jazzed up about theory, I invite you to take 90 seconds and visit the backyard of a colleague of mine who works in Portugal Cove, Newfoundland, which is about 15 minutes outside of St. John's. So you can go and spend a bit of time there and enjoy the incredible views and just the fact that you'd be oceanfront for a while. I'm going to go back and talk about this theory slide for a little bit because our work really tends to drive toward the green circle and bringing researchers and collaborators together. And as I mentioned earlier, we use all kinds of services to support that effort. On the very bottom in green is the space that we facilitate, bringing together researchers and collaborators. We have a series of forums. We have breakfast events, which we call KM and the AM, with very modest objectives, simply to bring people together to meet and interact around common interests. The bottom left in red are a series of services around supporting people. We support a lot of internships within our work here at York. My colleague has started to do some extensive work around social media as a tool, and this would really kind of echo the important work that Bonnie is doing as social media as a tool to facilitate knowledge mobilization and really the uptake and utility of research. It's the orange parts at the right and left side that are my focus around brokering relationships, and you'll see on the left that little, the acknowledgement around research summaries, and I will sort of jump into that now. Research summaries and research snapshots, which is how we brand this work, is something that we started working on in about 2008. We had been delivering services for a number of years, and in one of our planning meetings, discussed the fact that there is a whole host of collaborative research work that's taking place that kind of just sits on the shelves and gets a little bit buried. And I think there's some opportunity to take some of the key findings and work purposefully to effectively disseminate that research and create some greater awareness around it. The headings in which I'll be talking about really follow the structure of the snapshot itself. The snapshot, and they all look consistent. In fact, I'll try and step back and provide a bit of background around this. I think since 2008, our office has helped develop and support around 370 of these on a wide range of topics. The filter for us around the development of these is that the research has the opportunity to inform public policy or professional practice. We work very closely with community partners that identify priorities in which they would like covered off in the development of these snapshots. So we really try and create some direct purpose around the development of these. And another important part of the development cycle that I want to share with you is the fact that we train students, graduate and undergraduate students, in clear language writing and design principles, and they do the writing. So this is not the kind of thing that we ask our faculty to do. In fact, our office really tries to operate on a model of how can we make their life and their work easier? How can we take something off their plate instead of adding something to it? We work with an adult educator outside of Toronto that provides training for our students in this area. All of the summaries have a common template. They're about 500 to 600 words. They follow a similar design pattern, as you can see on the screen. And the sections of the summaries that may be difficult to read follow the following. what is this research about? The next section is what did the researchers do? We have a little shaded box below the gray on the first page, what you need to know. A section, what did the researchers find? How can you use this research? And a little bit of contact information about the researcher themselves that would provide a link to the paper, the lead author's contact information. So I will follow the section titles as I walk through and tell a bit of a story around the work we did and share some of our insights. What did we do? We did start this work in 2008, and in thinking purposefully around this, we were able to secure a modest federally funded grant to really kind of pilot the concept. And the important thing about that was bringing together some diverse stakeholders. We brought together a steering committee to kind of guide the project development. We had policy professionals, not-for-profit organizational practitioners, researchers, and some students. And we did a scan. We looked out there and we found quite quickly we weren't the only ones with this good idea. In fact, there was a whole host of other examples out there. We borrowed, adapted, and really kind of took what we thought to be the best elements of all these and put it into the research snapshot template that you saw. Then we tested the template, and we tested various dissemination models. I mean, I'll be honest, I had the assumption that there would be a large contingency of policy professionals that would like these things translated into an audio podcast, that they could go and listen to them. But they were quite clear, and it was quite consistent throughout our focus groups, that people really wanted a text-based tool within a fully searchable database, and that's what we were able to develop. Then we really started to ramp up the production. I will ask my colleagues who are helping hosting if there are any questions to kind of flag at them. I'll do my best to multitask. I know that Bonnie had asked a question, and I'll try and type that in before I leave. So providing a bit of background around what we did, I'm going to speak briefly around what we found, because I'm going to really kind of fast forward from 2008 to 2012. The one thing I really need to come clean is we have not done a full and comprehensive evaluation around this product. We simply haven't had the capacity to do so. But what we have had over the years is a really strong anecdotal evidence base that says there's some value in this work. And what we did, my director, my colleague and I, and another knowledge mobilization professional, we developed and published a field note around this work. And that field note as well follows the structure of this presentation, which in turn follows the structure of the research snapshot itself. But some interesting things once we had developed the database and really started to disseminate these utilizing a social media strategy. Using Twitter, and we have a very active Twitter account. We have our snapshot of the day that gets sent off to a whole host of folks. And over the course of, I would say, 6 to 9 months, we realized a significant increase in traffic to the summary database itself. The social media strategy around pushing out these snapshots provided an increase of almost 300% to the database. In our conversations with the researchers themselves, they have found some value in this. The rate in which faculty are willing to participate in this process is well over 99%. I think we've only had 1 or 2 in 8 years, 6 years now, expressed us they don't see value in this. and that's the important thing. It's a fully opt-in process. We send out communication to the faculty. We're aware of their areas of research interests and inviting them to submit recent publications that they feel have that could inform policy or practice.
Michael, we do have a question from Peg Nozick if you'd like to take it.
Certainly, no problem. Well, let me read it.
All right. It is, where can we go for guidance on translating medical terms into plain language?
That's an excellent question, Peg. I mean, and it's interesting because I really see the health and the education sectors being strong leaders, not only around knowledge translation and knowledge mobilization, but the push around plain language. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything right now, but I certainly will go back and speak with some colleagues that are working within the province of Ontario. It's unique that there are levels of government here that are investing in knowledge translation and knowledge mobilization. They might be able to assist me with that, so I can certainly follow up through John and Joanne and be able to try and provide that information for you. But I think we are at a tipping point now where that information should be accessible, and I'm not sure if we could have said that 5 years ago.
It's great.
So in terms of utility, I mean a really significant caveat that we provide not only for our researchers but for people that want to use this is that this does not follow the structure or the rigor of a systematic review. These snapshots are simply clear language summaries based around single studies. And we're quite explicit around advising people that they should not be basing decisions of policy and practice around a single study. And this just wasn't us identifying this and saying, hey, this is a good idea. We really kind of went back and explored what does the literature say around this. So if they're not to be used that explicitly, then I can appreciate what some of the questions are and about how they can be utilized. And the way that I really kind of pitch it to our faculty colleagues is that I think they could be an excellent calling card. They could be an excellent resource if you're going to a conference, if you're going to an event, if you're going to be meeting both academic and non-academic colleagues to let them know recent work that you've done, work that has the opportunity to help shape and inform work that's going on. And I'm not looking to contradict myself. I mean, I think it would be one body of information that could complete the decision-making process. But also it's a communication tool. It's a strong tool for researchers as well as our office to communicate outside the university and let folks know that here's somebody that's working on a topic that could be of interest to you. I mean, again, part of the anecdotal evidence that I've been able to capture over the last few years is I've been at 3 separate presentations, and these are community forums where where a speaker has brought up one of our snapshots and talked about it as either being relevant to the work that they're doing or a good example around accessing academic research. I mean, they didn't know I was in the room. So it was quite interesting that folks are seeing that utility. I mean, some of the other indicators for us really relate around partnerships. Since 2008, we're starting to work with, I would say, 9 or 10 universities or large-scale projects. We're working with large-scale collaborative projects here in Canada called Networks of Centers of Excellence that have an explicit mandate around knowledge mobilization in broad subject areas. And 2 of them we've been able to partner with, and they're using the research snapshot format. Really, the way the exchange goes is they can use the brand. We will train their staff or students, and they can start to develop their own complement of snapshots. They can brand them at the bottom. They can put their institution or project name and title there. And in exchange for this, we can take their completed summaries and put them onto our searchable database. So that's kind of the exchange process. We're also working with a number of other universities in Canada, some of which are formal partners of ours. And just this year, we've started an agreement with our Faculty of Graduate Studies utilizing clear language writing and design and the research snapshot development process as a training tool. Our grad studies program is seeing value in training students around clear language writing and design principles. The research snapshot development is really just one module that we're starting to roll out with them. We're also developing modules around developing academic posters, around oral presentations. The notion of that 3-minute thesis is becoming very intriguing for graduate students, and I mean, we're providing some training and support around that as well. And the last thing for me is it has become an increasingly powerful tool to support my efforts around mobilizing knowledge. And again, as I mentioned before, with the critical foundational piece of my work being brokering relationships, now I have a resource base that I can tap into that will let me know that there are people at this university, at York University, but also around the country that have an area of research interest that may be aligned to needs that are identified outside the university. So I've been able to utilize these snapshots in brokering relationships as well. Let me see. So what you need to know, if I could take what I've been talking about for a little over 20 minutes now and really try and distill it, if there's sort of the essence of the presentation and the resource itself, research snapshots and clear language writing and design is an effective tool. And it is becoming an increasingly important part of our knowledge mobilization strategy. The ability for these products to help connect researchers with decision makers, and even anecdotally, has been quite impressive. But I really believe in their ability to take the important utility of academic research and get it out into the hands of people that have a real appetite for it. It breaks down some barriers and helps to convey what could be complex and comprehensive systems and methods into ways in which people could understand it. Hopefully in a way that is quicker for them than it did for me to explain to my mother what I do. I like the fact that people with this tool in their hand can explain something a lot more quickly than it did for me. So I'm excited about where this initiative is going for us here at York. I mean, I really need to place a lot of the credit on our instructor. Matthew Schulman works for the Peel, Halton, Dufferin Adult Learning Network in Mississauga, Ontario. He's provided, I would say, upwards of 50 to 20 training events for over 100 students here at York University. We've had skilled and capable students do this writing and support the developmental process for us, 2 of which have been able to secure employment positions in the knowledge mobilization and communications field. So it's provided a rich training ground as well. I mean, I guess really what I'm telling myself is we should get on that evaluation. I mean, I think we might be able to drill down and find some good information about this, aside from the anecdotal stuff. So with that, I would like to extend my thanks for everybody for your patience. I will be happy to answer any questions, whether it's now or certainly part of my learning style might be tomorrow. I mean, that's when I tend to come up with my gold is the day after. My email address is there. I know there was some talk about a Twitter handle. For me, it's at Mobilize Michael. I'll type that in right now. I'm early. I don't know if that is a benefit or not. It certainly opens up some question opportunities, and it may extend a break or allow the next person to go a little bit early. But thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to speak with you and talk about some of the important work we're doing here.
Well, thanks so much, Michael. That was really great. Now, I'll just say, I know you were busy presenting, but while you were presenting, some of the participants were chatting about you raising their awareness that having a Facebook group to try and help with some of the thinking and formulation around KT activities such as what you're doing and others are doing would be a really good idea. So I think that's a very positive kind of outcome, and you help stimulate that.
Oh, that's great.
Let me say that I do have one question here that I think was raised a little bit from the presentations that occurred on Monday. And the question/comment is the following. Monday we heard our presenters disagree about the grade level the media uses in its reporting. Sylvia mentioned it was somewhere near 3rd to 4th grade, and Tim said it was closer to 10th grade. In order to write clearly and yet convey ideas that may be deeper in scope or complicated, you have an idea of what grade level to strive for with our clear language summaries.
Okay. Now I'm going to sit myself firmly on the fence in that debate, which is probably not helpful for the folks that are passionate about this, but I would certainly contend the context of audience is very important. For us, we strive for a grade 10 level. That's our goal. I mean, the important thing that we've really kind of worked out in our process is that clear language writing and design are principles. I don't think they're hard and fast rules, and I think you will have to allow for those exceptions. The other thing for us, being part of a service unit, is that the sign-off process rests fully with the lead author. And if he or she feels that the summary requires some of the technical language to really maintain the critical context, we're not in a position to argue. I mean, we're a process office, not a content office. We certainly will let them know that the objective is to be able to get things closer to a grade 10 level, which opens it up to a broader audience. But we have had some situations where folks say, well, I'm going to they're going to a specific conference and folks are going to have a level of education and awareness around the topic, and it's more of a communication tool. And as a result, we use the Flesch-Kincaid tool, which is found within Microsoft Office, and I think their summary came up at about grade 15 or 16, and they said, no, this is great, and we need it this way. So I kind of plugged my nose and said, all right. And in people we talk to, we let them know, for us it really is principles. I think some of our lowest level summaries might be in at about grade 8 or 9. I don't think we've been able to go below 7. But for us, it's guidelines. I respect the debate. I really do.
All right, that's great. Very informative. And actually, we've reached that part in the agenda where our time is up again. So I want to thank both Michael and Mark for your presentation. Very informative. Plain language and clear language is very, very important. And just to clarify, we are taking breaks based upon participant comments that they would like to see more breaks. So we're going to take a break, and we will reconvene at 15 minutes past the hour. Please come back. We're going to hear from Dr. Bruce Newbold, and it's going to be a very exciting presentation, I think. See you after the break.